In this video, I'm going to show you how to finally implement the business strategies that you already know without having to buy another course, attend another seminar, or spend another dollar on tactics so you can double your revenue in the next 90 days and actually feel like the capable, confident practice owner you know you are. My name is Dr. Javier Carlin. I'm the founder of the PT Freedom Formula, and I help burned out PT practice owners who are stuck at 100 to 200K break through the 400 to 500K mark while working 30 hours a week and getting home for dinner every single night. I've personally gone from 100K a year, 60 to 80 hour work weeks, feeling like I'm on a hamster wheel to a thriving business. And I've helped PTs like Dr. Daniel Ramirez go from 20K to 50K a month in under 90 days. If you want more revenue and more freedom without spending another dollar on tactics that you already know, but for some reason can't seem to execute, go ahead and subscribe to this channel. Now, let's get into it. Look, most PT practice owners believe that the reason their practice isn't growing is because they haven't learned the right marketing strategy yet. And honestly, I get it. That makes complete sense because every guru, every business coach, every mastermind that you've probably ever joined told you the answer was a better funnel, a better content strategy, spending more money on ads, a better pricing or sales script, or a better hiring framework. So you go get those things over and over and over again. But here's a problem with that thinking. It causes three things that are slowly destroying not just your practice, but also your sanity. Number one, it creates what I call the knowledge consumption addiction. You've got 47 half-finished business books on your shelf, 12 online courses that are sitting in your inbox with maybe a 5% completion rate. You follow every PT business coach or marketing agency on Instagram. You literally know what to do. Raise your prices, set boundaries, delegate, market consistently, but yet you don't do it. And the gap between what you know and what you do just keeps getting wider, which makes you feel even more inadequate. Number two, it creates the shiny object trap. You spent 20K, 30K, maybe $50,000 on coaching programs in the last 3 years. Each one gave you great tactics, no doubt about that. Each one worked for about 2 to 3 weeks, maybe a few months, and then you slid right back into your old patterns. Does that sound familiar? It happens to many people. Number three, it creates what I call the emergency brake problem. You're spending 10 hours a week studying marketing funnels, Instagram algorithms, email sequences, and SEO, while you spend 0 hours figuring out why you undercharge, why you can't say no, and why you keep burning yourself out. You're flooring that accelerator while your emergency brake is locked on, which leads to the same result every single time. More knowledge, same revenue, more frustration, and that quiet, gnawing feeling that maybe you are the problem. Sound familiar? That's because this belief is keeping you stuck. But as you know, there is a better way. The truth is, you already know enough to double your revenue. The only thing that's standing between where you are now and where you want to be is the unconscious psychological blocks that are preventing you from implementing everything that you already know. Here's why it's true. Let me show you 5 different ways. James Clear wrote Atomic Habits, one of the best-selling books of the last decade, and I bet money it's sitting on your shelf right now. Here's a line that most people skip right past. You don't rise to the level of your goals, you fall to the level of your systems. But what Clear is really saying, and what he digs deeper into this book, is that behavior change isn't a knowledge problem. It's an identity problem. You don't fail to implement because you don't have the right strategy. You fail to implement because your unconscious identity doesn't yet match the person who does those things. You can read the book 3 times and still not raise your prices because somewhere underneath, a part of you still believes that you're not the kind of person who charges $300 or $400 or even $500 a session. And until that identity shifts, no system, no habit, no tactic is going to stick, period. And you know this, right? Here's the simplest way I can explain this. Imagine you're terrified of water because at age 7, you almost drowned. Your nervous system coded water equals danger, water equals death. Now imagine you spend the next 20 years taking swimming courses, freestyle techniques, backstroke forms, Olympic training plans. You can describe perfect swimming form. You could literally teach it, but you won't get in the pool. No amount of swimming courses fixes that because the problem was never that you didn't know how to swim. The problem is that your nervous system believes the water is going to kill you. The moment you address that, the original fear, all those swimming techniques you learned suddenly become usable. That's exactly what's happening with your business. You keep learning new tactics while avoiding the psychological blocks that are keeping you out of the water. You don't need to learn more about marketing or hiring or systems or EMRs or EHRs. You need to figure out why you're terrified to implement the marketing that you already know consistently. And look, here's one that you can't argue with because you already live this in your own practice every single day. Think about new grad PTs. They come out of school knowing everything. They can recite research studies. They score perfectly on board exams. They know all the manual therapy techniques, all the assessment protocols. They've got all this knowledge, but they're not effective clinicians yet. Why is that? Because they don't have confidence. They second guess every decision. They're so anxious they can't be present with the patient. They overthink every single session, every single treatment. And here's the key. You can't fix that with more anatomy knowledge. You fix it through experience that builds self-trust, through mentorship that builds confidence, through personal growth work that addresses their insecurity. You would never walk up to a struggling new grad and say, you just need more anatomy courses. You say, look, you already know enough. Now you need to trust yourself. So why are you treating yourself differently? You know enough. Come on. You have enough tactics. What you need is to address the psychological blocks that are preventing you from trusting and implementing what you already know consistently. The same logic we'd apply to new grads, apply it to yourself. Let me tell you what happened to me because this used to be me. Around 2016, 2017, I started investing myself. First, it was a $1,000 motivational conference. I got fired up. I went home and sure enough, it faded out within a few weeks. Then I went all in, over 15,000 across 3 different PT specific business programs while I was still in school. These weren't generic business coaches. These were people who specifically worked with PT practice owners. They knew the industry, the content was solid, the tactics were real, and it still took me 2 more years to actually get out of my own way and take action on any of it. From 2018 to 2020, I was grinding, stuck in the low 6 figures, and I knew what to do. I paid a lot of money to know what to do, but I kept stalling. I kept second guessing. I kept finding reasons why now wasn't the right time. I need one more piece before I'm fully ready to implement everything. Let me just get this one thing dialed in first, and then I'll take the next step. Looking back, the honest truth was I was scared. I was scared to charge more and have someone say no. I was scared to set a boundary and lose a patient. I was scared to actually try because if I tried and it didn't work, I couldn't blame the strategy anymore. I'd have to look in the mirror and look at myself. It wasn't until I finally stopped avoiding that and started doing the actual inner work, examining the real fears underneath the procrastination, the real beliefs underneath those patterns. And when I started doing that, that's when things started to shift for me. In 2021, I cracked 250K. 2022, I broke 500,000, not because I learned something new. I already had everything I needed sitting in my notebooks from 3 different coaching programs. It moved when I moved, when I finally dealt with what was actually in the way. That's the only thing that changed. Now let me walk you through what this looks like in practice, because I want you to see yourself in this. Imagine a PT orthopedic specialist, highly credentialed, OCS, manual therapy cert, dry needling, McKenzie, sharp guy. He's invested over $30,000 in business education over 4 years. He's done Alex Hormozi's books, ClickFunnels marketing trainings, an Instagram marketing course, a high ticket sales program, a delegation and team building program. He can teach marketing strategy better than most business coaches. And his reality is $165K a year, 52 hours a week, charging $180 a session. He knows he should be at $350 or more. He tried hiring 3 times. He fired them all. He has a perfect funnel mapped out that was never built and a 90-day content calendar that was never used. He's got premium pricing designed, which has never been offered. Every single Sunday, he says, this week, I'm raising my prices. By Tuesday, a patient asks for a discount and he ends up caving. He beats himself up. He says, you know what? I need to buy another course to feel productive. I need to buy another course to improve my skills. Sound familiar? The issue for a PT like this is never the knowledge. It's the story underneath the surface. Maybe it's a deep fear that if he actually tries, really puts himself out there, raises the prices, holds the line, and it doesn't work, then he has no more excuses. He'd have to accept that the problem was him all along. And that can be a terrifying thought, right? So the unconscious mind keeps him in this perpetual preparation mode where it believes it's safe because he was never actually in the game. The moment the pattern gets identified and cleared, the exact same knowledge that he already had starts producing completely different results. He raises prices using a framework from 2 years ago. He posts content using a calendar from 8 months ago. He sets boundaries using scripts he wrote a year prior. Same knowledge, different person who's implementing it with a completely different outcome. That's the pattern I see over and over and over again. The knowledge was never the problem. Here's the logic trap that I want you to sit with, because once you see it, you can't unsee it. Look at your own track record honestly. You've invested real money in your PT education, business education, multiple programs, multiple thousands or tens of thousands of dollars. And if you're being straight with yourself, your implementation rate on what you've learned is probably somewhere between that 20, 30, maybe 50%. Not because the information was bad, because something kept stopping you from acting on it. Now, here's a question that should bother you. If more information were the solution, why hasn't more information solved it? You've already run the experiment multiple times. The result is the same every single time. More knowledge goes in, implementation rate barely moves. Revenue ends up staying stuck, and that internal frustration begins to increase, right? That's not a content problem. That's not a strategy problem. That's a psychological block problem. And you've been trying to solve a psychological block with an information solution. It's not going to work. It's like having a flat tire and responding by putting premium gas in the tank. The gas isn't wrong. It's just not addressing what's actually broken, right? The definition of insanity applies here. If the last 3 programs didn't move your implementation rate, what makes program number 4 the one that finally does? What's actually different this time? Unless what changes is you at the level of belief, identity, and unconscious patterns, the result is going to be the same. More knowledge, same behavior, same revenue, same frustration. And you already know this is true, right? You've lived it. So here's the bottom line. You don't need another course. You don't need another mastermind. You don't need one more tactic. You need to identify and clear the specific unconscious block, the fear pattern, the values conflict between financial security and family, the belief that's been quietly sabotaging you, that's been silently vetoing every implementation attempt that you've ever made. Because once that block is clear, that 20K, 30K, 50K worth of education you've already collected, it starts to work immediately without learning a single new thing. If you're a PT practice owner who's doing 1 to 200K a year, working 50 to 60 plus hours a week, and you know what to do, but can't seem to consistently do it, the PT Freedom Formula is built exactly for you. Here are 3 things to do right now. Number 1, subscribe to this channel if you want more content like this. 2, register for our next PT Freedom Challenge down below. 4 days, change your life. And 3, if you're ready to stop collecting and to start transforming, go ahead and book a 20-minute clarity call through that link in the description. We'll review your situation, identify your specific block, and tell you honestly if we can help. No pressure, no pitch, just full-on clarity. And listen, if this video hit home, drop a comment below and tell me, how many courses have you bought in the last 2 years? For me, it's been dozens. I genuinely love to know. I'll see you in the next one.